So someone asked me the other day, they said I saw you riding and the wind was blowing this way and your board was going in a totally different direction. How did you do that? So I'm going to give a little explanation of what it means to go upwind. This holds true for kitesurfing, windsurfing, sailing. If you're getting into ocean sports and wind sports, here's an explanation of the forces and the physics behind it.
I was watching you kite surf, and I was interested in the fact that the wind was blowing one direction. However, your board was going in the complete opposite. How do you explain that to me, please?
Okay, this is called going upwind. And whether it's sailing or windsurfing or kite surfing, here's my little models, it's the same principles for all these wind sports. So if we orient this board to the direction of the wind, all these little green arrows represent the flow of the wind. Okay, so if we take our windsurfer, as you said, we cannot go directly into the wind. Okay, we can go across the wind, downwind, a little bit upwind, and what I'm going to explain now is how we can go against the wind, into the wind, upwind, and it works like this. This requires an understanding of how a sail works. The sail doesn't work because the wind is pushing on it. The sail is a wing, like the wing on an airplane, and the air needs to be flowing over both sides of the sail for it to work. And what happens is when the wind flows over the sail, it creates what we call lift, kind of in this direction. Just like in an airplane, say this is the wing of an airplane, you're flying along, we need a clean airflow over the sail. You know, if the plane goes too much at an angle like this, you lose the airflow, the wing loses its power, and it falls down and hopefully doesn't crash. But that idea of the wind flowing over both sides of the sail is really important. And what happens is that creates a push in the sail that's in this direction. Whether it's a sailboat or in this case with the kite, if I'm flying along like this, the pull of the kite is in this direction. So that's one half of the equation. The other part is whether it's a sail with a keel or asymmetrical hulls, or whether it's a fin on the dagger board, we have to have something to resist that sideways pull. With the kite, we're using the board itself to edge against it. So even though the kite is pulling in this direction, we are pushing with our feet like this. Okay, but if the pull is here, there's a certain angle that the water is hitting the hulls or the board, and you have to have those two together. So the wind pulls from here, and the board gets that at an angle, and that's what allows you to go upwind.
Interesting.
Does that kind of make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
So with the sailboat, then there's two forces acting on the boat, and so we say that the sailboat has two wings, two sails, one above the water and one set below the water. So the sail, when we're going up, when it's not pulling us this way, it's pulling at that angle. The hulls or the board is pushing against that angle, and that's what allows us to go upwind like that. And if we're down here and we need to get here, we have to tack like that, like that, like that. And one of the things that we teach, whether it's windsurfing, kitesurfing, sailing, this is a bit easier, but we teach how to find that maximum upwind line right along here, so that if you're stuck down here and you need to get here, you don't have to go you can just go bloop, bloop, bloop. That's going upwind. So you're maintaining the pull of the sail in this direction, and you're maintaining the control and the push of the board in that direction, and that just brings you upwind. You did some wakeboarding before, didn't you say?
Yes. As a matter of fact, yes.
So imagine you're on the board, and there's a boat pulling you in this direction with the rope.
Okay.
Yeah. When you go on your heels on the wakeboard, instead of going in a line with the boat,
it carves.
It carves out.
There's a carving.
So we're constantly carving against that to go way out.
Interesting.
Onto the side of the boat, or in this case, going upwind.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for explaining that to me. I appreciate it.
No problem. I hope it helps. So that's the simple version. But if you want to drill down, get a little bit more technical, it can get more complicated. a good place to start with that is with this question that many people have asked me. How far upwind can I go? What exactly is this angle? And that's going to depend basically on three things. Number one, how strong and how clean is the wind? Number two, what kind of equipment you're using, and by that I mean not only your power source with the sail or the kite, but also what you're riding on and what's tracking through the water. And number three, of course, how good you are at controlling it. So realistically, someone who's planing on a windsurf board might be able to go maybe this far upwind. A kiter might be able to go maybe this far upwind. This probably represents the best case scenario or ideal maximum upwind line. It's all about where are you between here and here. Being able to go upwind is probably one of the most helpful things for anybody when they're out in the water, because whenever you wipe out and have to sort yourself out, land in the water, whenever you're playing around with the power, whether that means jumping on the kite or going as fast as you can, whenever you're exposing that sail to maximum power, it's always going to tend to take you downwind a bit. So the better we are and the more efficiently we can work back upwind, then the more time we have to go fast, play around, and have fun. Optimizing these angles really depends on so many aerodynamic and hydrodynamic principles, and it's affected by things like the shape of the sail, for example the amount of camber, the efficiency of the sail, the angle of attack, the stall point. All these things come into play then. Bernoulli's principle, which is often misused to explain lift, the Coanda effect, laminar versus tubular effect, the Newtonian explanation of effects and reactions that come into play when a fluid is being deflected by a wing. We can think about maximizing the lift coefficient. We can think about controlling the angle of lift to the angle of incidence, and of course taking into account the effects of the apparent wind. So there's a lot out there if you like math and if you like physics, but if you don't, you'll feel those forces intuitively on your arms and your legs and on your back. If you're learning to ride upwind, make sure you understand how your sail works, make sure you have a big enough board, and think about those forces that you're applying and transferring from the kite into the board that you're riding. That's all.